Okay, we're going to talk about triangles and some things I want you to be aware of. Here's a triangle where all the sides are the same. And if all the sides are the same, then we can assume that all the angles are the same. So keep in mind that all triangles, their angles have to equal 180 degrees in total. So if all three sides are the same, and all three angles are the same, that means that the 180 was divided equally among the three angles. And that gives us 180 divided by 3 is 60. So that's how we know that each angle was 60 degrees. And when you add them up again, they have to equal 180. Over here we have what's called an isosceles triangle. This one was an equilateral triangle, meaning all the sides are the same. This one, only two sides are the same. And whenever you have a triangle or an angle where the two legs are the same, then that means that the angles down here at the bottom of those legs are going to be the same. So if this one's 30, this one's 30. If this one's 60, this one's 60, and so forth. This one up here, no. That joins the two legs, that one's not the same. But all three, again, have to equal 180. So notice these markings on here, a curve with a line in it. This one has just one line in it, and so that means that they are the same? This one has two lines in it, so that means it has a different measurement. And so if you add the two same ones together with the one that's different, it should equal 180. Now, I didn't put a measurement here. I just am saying that it's not equal to 10 because that would make it like this one, equilateral. But this one, if just these two legs were the same, then let's say I knew this one up here was 100 degrees. Then since the whole thing has to equal 180, that means there's 80 degrees left that these two would have to share. And they have to share it equally the same. So 80 divided by 2 is 40. So that would make each of these 40. Now, if you have just a random triangle where none of the sides are the same, we would just have, X, Y, and Z here, or A, B, and C, or whatever you want to call them, and the legs are not the same, then the angles are not going to be the same. They can be different. So I just randomly threw some numbers down here. What if one of them was 40, the other one was 60, the other one was 80 on these angles? And notice this has one line through it, two lines through it, three lines through it, showing that they are different measurements. But they have to equal 180. So it could have been all kinds of other numbers randomly, but those are kind of the basics of triangles, is they always equal 180. Now let's come over here to a right triangle in particular. Right triangles, what makes them a right triangle is that it has two legs that come together to make a 90-degree angle. Right means 90 degree. One of the angles is 90. The two legs, we call them A and B. Doesn't matter which one's A or which one's B. It could have been B up here and A here. Totally doesn't matter. But the long side, because 90 is going to be the longest measurement in the angle, this 90 corner here, this right angle. This is opposite the longest line, which we call C. It's also known as the hypotenuse. Longest word, longest side, hypotenuse. And so A and B are just legs. And what joins them is the hypotenuse. So this is always 90 right here. And again, every triangle has to equal 180. So if this is 90, then these other angles here and here have to make up the rest of it to 180, meaning they're going to share the 90 degrees. And they could be anything, depending on how long the legs are. This could be 1, and this would be 89. This could be 10, and that would make this one 80. Whatever. But there's some ones that you can watch out for that are helpful to us, and they relate back here to this isosceles triangle where I said if the two legs are the same, then these two angles are the same. So over here, if we have a right triangle, if A and B are the same amount, then their angles are going to be the same. So if A is 5 and B is 5, that means that these two are going to share the remaining 90 degrees equally. And it's going to make these each 45 degrees. Because you already have 90 right here. So when legs A and B are the same, then their angles will be the same. A and B would have to both be 45. Now, even if this was 10 and this was 10, since they're the same, these split the 90. These will still be 45 degrees. No matter how long the legs are, as long as the legs are the same, the angles would be 45 and 45. So if you have a triangle and they tell you two of the measurements, let's say, and my picture isn't really showing these angles correctly because I didn't use a compass to draw it. Let's pretend that the angle looks like what the numbers are. But if this is 20 and this is 95, and I need to know what this missing angle is, then it's 95 plus 20, tells me how much I've used. I've used 115 degrees out of a possible 180. So let's subtract that 115 from the 180 and see how much we have left over. We have 65 degrees left over. So that must be 65 degrees.